This episode of The Casual is brought to you in part by Squarespace. For all your website needs, Squarespace delivers it in an all-around package to help you build a beautiful, integrated online presence.
It's that time, people. It's that time to do things that you don't want to do, like actually building the technical aspects of your fashion brand. That is the infrastructure, and it is damn near the most tedious thing because it may very well require some outside help, but no worries, I got your back, and I'm gonna be that outside help. We're gonna build the brand on a budget, part 2. This is infrastructure. I'm your boy, Reggie Casual. Let's get it. So in the last episode, we talked about development. So if you haven't yet taken a look at that, go now. Go now. There should be some thing that lets you go back. And then come back to this one because we need order in this house, sir. Bloody order. For those of you that did watch that, stay and let us continue. So infrastructure, let's go ahead and break this word down into parts. Infra is a prefix that means below. So I like to infra a lot. Structure is defined as the arrangement of relations between the parts or elements of something complex. So you get it? Basically, infrastructure is the below the arrangements of relations. No, that's not what it means. Basically, infrastructure is the complexities of something that is complex. And what does that mean in fashion? It means the details, organization, and minutia of how you run your brand. The bad news is damn near endless amount of duties that are simply not suited for one person to handle. The good news, it's pretty much uniform across the board, so figuring out the purpose of each part of the infrastructure isn't that difficult to kind of like wrap your head around. So too much talk, list. Infrastructure in fashion simply consists of creative direction, marketing and advertising, production and distribution, legal, accounting, sales, and sales channels. That's the nitty-gritty. And we're gonna briefly go over all of this boring stuff, and I will try my hardest to make it as entertaining as possible, just to make sure that I keep your attention, okay? So let's get it. Creative direction is pretty simple. It's the design, branding, and image of your brand. It's the voice. That's simple, but it includes a lot more than just create stuff. Creative direction includes the creation of your customer profile, the imagery and photography, the visual assets, modeling, the theme of each collection, and even your website design. That's a lot of tasks just for creative direction, but it's where most designers feel comfortable, which is the reason why many of them overcompensate in creative direction and hope for the best in the rest. Moving on, marketing and advertising. The act of persuading those in your customer profile to buy into your brand. That's what this is all about. Using the creative assets developed by the art direction. Production and distribution, the manufacturing, shipping, and network of your label. Legal may sound daunting, scary, but it's basically your protections, which include business establishment, your taxes, intellectual property protection like copyrights and trademarks. Accounting, that's money going in and out of your brand and your business, and for what? Sales and sales channels, that's what it sounds like. Selling your brand and how it's sold and where it's sold, which honestly needs its own damn episode. So we're gonna hold off on going super in on this one, but that's what you need to know. Now, does any of this sound familiar to you? If no, then you haven't been listening and you didn't go and watch development. Because in that episode, I said the fashion business order is development, infrastructure, marketing, manufacturing, and sales. It sounds oddly like infrastructure because that's what infrastructure is. It's the minutia of the business order. So now that we got that out of the way, it's time to learn how to control the costs in your infrastructure. For creative direction, at the beginning, product will be everything. So your immediate costs will come in the form of raw materials, then photography, creative assets for marketing, and of course web channels. And there's some other stuff in there too, but we're just gonna go over those. In the last episode, I mentioned you could ease the financial burden of raw materials simply by truncating your first collection. Focus on an amazing product that you can be known for and use those materials instead of going for broke on a large collection. Or if you really must make a large collection, just be incredibly prepared to spend a lot of money. How about photography? This is a big one for a lot of people making new brands. If you can't hire a pro, which is ideal, then you have to hire the next best thing. This is how you save money. Photography students that are trying to go pro. And this calls for a note. The emphasis on using photography students or hiring photography students is pretty strong here. Most photography students in college or trade are trying to build their portfolios and have all the general skills and, most importantly, the equipment needed to take amazing photography. They're often quite cheap because they're just getting started, and the deal they usually want is to use the photos that they take for you in their personal portfolio. If your brand blows up, chances you'll use them again at a higher price, of course, and they'll have credentials having been the photographer who did the work on your label. So it's a win-win situation for both of you. Check out photography students. Now, the best way to save money is if you are actually a photographer, like an actually good seasoned photographer, which, why are you building a brand? You could just take photos. But in this case, it's probably still better to get somebody else's eyes whose sole purpose is to take photos, so you don't have to go out of your way to, I gotta take photos of my own brand. I gotta do so many things. Probably better to get somebody else to do it. Moving on, as far as web goes, start with just buying your domain at the beginning, and when you reach the sales stage, go to like Fiverr and have someone build your Squarespace page. To be honest, maybe your read should go here. Like you could save a lot of money. I mean, you could save 10% off if you use our code. How about we put that read right now? Listen.
In the fashion industry, the competition is fierce and your presentation has to look solid from jump. That's where Squarespace comes in. Beautifully designed templates, easy to use web building tools, and social integration make Squarespace the perfect choice for the budding entrepreneur or even the savvy professional. Plus, by using our link, squarespace.com/thecasual, you could save 10% when you start. So get that business off the ground the right way and use Squarespace today.
So yeah, that seemed like an apt place to put that because, budgeting means, saving where you can. So 10% off of your website is a good thing. Really good for budgeting. Anyway, next. All right, so moving on to marketing and advertisements. Now, this could be some of the biggest expenditures you have, or you could opt for free media, like your own social media channels and pages. You could also set aside a realistic budget for use on guerrilla direct and paid social marketing. Emphasize methods that are experience driven because marketing is its own beast. But if you want to do it for cheap, you have to put a ton of energy and time into it. And most importantly, you have to be consistent. Marketing is literally the most important part of your label after the product. So don't sleep on it. Whatever you do, don't sleep, but save money where you can. As a note, we'll cover that in later episodes on how to market. Just with marketing, scaling up progressively is gonna do you wonders. Next, we got manufacturing and distribution. Now check out our episode on the 2 types of manufacturing every fashion entrepreneur should know about, and that should give you an idea on how to save money on the manufacturing front. So go there. On the distribution side, you'll likely be starting out of your own home or wherever your residence is, instead of using a distribution center. However, there are options for cheap storage and distribution. Just be sure to add that to your bottom line. And your time is valuable, so you should make adjustments based on what you're willing to do. You may find that using a distribution center is worth it because of how time consuming doing it on your own is. Just have to calculate that. Accounting is in the same boat. Chances are you are not going to want to do it yourself, but you may have to at the beginning. Accountants are a special breed and a lot of them are Asian. It's no disrespect, because that's basically the same as saying they don't come cheap. So at the beginning, have the necessary spreadsheets, documents, line sheets, cost analysis, financial expenditures at the ready. Most of this stuff is relatively cheap to find via templates on Excel or something like that, and it's just input and go. You just gotta be on top of it. The real point is to document your expenditures. Don't just say the hell with it. Keep tabs on your money and adjust your strategy if you're overspending in one area. You can use a lot of this stuff as tax write-offs if you do it right. I know I do. I document every single purchase I make. That's me for every month. Why? Because accounting, it's the one thing you absolutely need to actually keep on your budget. Next is legal. Now, you don't need a lawyer yet, but be sure to trademark your name sometime in the process. You don't have to do it immediately because you will have all the names on social, your website, documentation. You can prove it in court should you have to go, which is unlikely to happen at the beginning. So that's infrastructure budgeting, finding out where you can save money in little spots. I know it sucks doing this. This is the most boring part of doing your brand, but this is the most important part of doing your brand, is understanding what the infrastructure of your label is going to be, because this is going to be the blueprint, the outline. You want to be methodical but flexible. Budgeting for infrastructure will be long and arduous, just like me over explaining it, but it's impactful, turning your fledgling brand into a sturdy built house before it even launches. And with that said, if you have any comments, suggestions, or other points, let those be known in the comments. But most importantly, we got to the end. Keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And I'll see some of you guys in overtime.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Give a thumbs up if you liked the video. Follow on Instagram for the latest out of Japan and beyond. And if you want even more content and business tips, all you gotta do is become a member right here on YouTube or Patreon at patreon.com/TheCasual. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion and culture from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.